Welcome to the Diva Details. Welcome to the Diva Details, where bold, confident women embrace life unapologetically. From love and sex to wellness and reinvention, we keep it raw, real, and powerful. No filters, no limits. Just fearless conversations to help you thrive. Let's dive in with Diva Mia and Diva Cat.
Hello, Diva Cat. How are you?
Good.
I am so excited today.
Me too.
I love this topic we're going to talk about today.
What are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about attachment styles. And it's been something that's coming in on me because I've been delving in deep to it now. And I will say that it kind of will help determine whether or not your relationship works or not.
Okay.
Because different attachment styles, sometimes they are just completely at ends of each other. And it may be that, you're in a relationship for a while and sometimes it feels effortlessly. Like I think your relationship for sure feels effortless, right? You don't struggle to keep it going. It just flows. Sometimes you get in a relationship and there's this constant push and pull that makes it, you have to question, why do they behave that way? And you clicked in the beginning. There was definitely an emotional attraction, physical attraction, sexual attraction, etc. But when you actually get into the relationship, it's difficult and you don't know why and you beat your head against the wall. Now, we did talk about love languages, right? So love languages can be a thing, but sometimes it's just the way that people attach to each other. It's called an attachment style.
I mean, what make you feel that way? Like after a couple of dates, you feel distant or?
Well, some people attach differently. And we're going to kind of dive into it. It's kind of a blueprint for how people connect, how they love, how they feel loved, and how they handle conflict. And when you get past the honeymoon stage is when it usually starts to happen. And you try to figure out, are we a good fit long term? Because the honeymoon stage is, you got the oxytocin, you're all happy. Everything they do is great. Nothing bothers you. But then after a while, you get to see where they really are and attachment style really comes out then. So there's 4 main ones. Now, if you read books out there, there's 20 or 30 different attachment styles. There's like sub-attachment styles, but there's 4 main ones. And we're just going to cover the 4 big ones. Okay, because the big ones it's transformational, honestly. When you're in a relationship and you're past the 2, 3, 4 month mark, and you start to question the relationship, it's most likely their attachment style. So this podcast, if you're in that range, or if you're struggling in your marriage or in a relationship, this is the podcast for you. Because we're going to teach you how to mesh better, how to get along, and to see if you can change and understand their attachment styles so you can keep the relationship together if that's what you desire. All right? Let's dive in.
Okay.
All right. So there's different attachment styles. An attachment style is a pattern of how we bond with others. Like I've complained before because I have had guys that text you and then they ghost you and then they come back and they act like nothing's changed and then they go away and then they come back, and that's an attachment style. And it's rooted in childhood experiences too. So it may be that they're that way because they had a rough childhood. Maybe they have abandonment issues and they don't know how to truly emotionally attach. It's a part of emotional intelligence as well. Something we talked about before. Attachment styles are different. And there's different ways to talk about them. There's trust that's related to attachment. Like for me, trust is a big thing. And some people trust right away. Some people don't trust for a year. And then intimacy is part of attachment. Some people jump into bed on the first date and some people take 2-3 months or longer. And communication style is affected by attachment. So depending on how you attach to other people, your communication style may be different. And then my big one is emotional safety. And emotional safety is based off of your attachment style as well. So let's go with the first one. So this, to me, is what we should all be striving for. And I honestly feel like this is your attachment style with your husband. It's the secure attachment style. When you're comfortable with intimacy, trust, if you're comfortable with that, that's a secure attachment style. And I think in every relationship, the goal is to make sure you get to there. Now, if you're a secure attachment style and you're dealing with somebody that's not a secure attachment style, it's going to be a challenge. And you're going to find, wow, I don't know how to handle this. one thing about people with secure attachment styles is they communicate openly. They handle conflict calmly. And they're very relaxed. They very upfront. They're very direct and honest. So if you have somebody that has a secure attachment style, they're just going to tell you how it is. They're not going to play games. They're not going to lie to you. They're just going to say, this is the way it is. It's formed a lot of times when you caregivers were consistent, loving, and responsive, but it can also be learned. You can change your attachment style is what they don't really tell people. You can grow into a secure attachment style. Sometimes people don't have a secure attachment style, but then when they're with the person for 10 years or so, they grow into a secure attachment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it may start off that you're not in a secure attachment, and then you grow into this over time and you feel more comfortable in the relationship. And I think that's what our goal is. Because you don't want to be in one of these other attachment styles for the term of the relationship. It'd be very stressful. So then the next time of attachment style is anxious. Anxious people are oftentimes preoccupied. They're going to be like constantly needy. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, does this person like me? Do they not like me? Do they hate me? And then they're going to crave closeness, but constantly afraid they're going to be abandoned. Now, this happens a lot of times when people come out of bad relationships. Now,
is it because of insecurity?
Well, it could be that you got a little traumatized in your last relationship. It could be that you were raised, with a caregiver that was never present and never really showed you love. They were very inconsistent. Sometimes they show you love, sometimes they take it away. This happens a lot in people that came out of narcissistic relationships because it's a hot cold. So you can get preoccupied with, do they like me? Do they not? But once you heal, you get closer back to a secure relationship. But until you heal that wound, I guess, if you call it that, you can be overly sensitive. Whenever your partner's in a bad mood or they're having a bad day, you could be sensitive to their behavior. And that's why, like, if you're in a narcissistic relationship, if they're throwing a fit, you're constantly on edge. And that's where the anxious, preoccupied relationship comes from. So if you're coming out of a relationship, it is important to go to therapy and to possibly get a divorce coach and truly heal, or you're going to go into your next relationship anxious. You're going to drive people crazy. It can happen with men and women. It's not just a female thing. I will say, though, I see a lot of women doing the anxious, preoccupied. As you get more secure with yourself, as you get more comfortable with the relationship, it will hopefully die down. But it may not. You may be constantly anxious with the person because you don't trust it because you got damaged in your last relationship. Or your parents, your caregivers, because a lot of this stuff we go back to after we go through a breakup or whatnot to our childhood, because our childhood created the core belief system surrounding some of these attachment styles. And you have to be careful with that. And now I think you guys for sure are secure. Because you guys trust each other.
Yeah.
You guys are intimate, very comfortable intimacy. And you both can have independent lives, but come back together and be a great couple.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you can find that in a relationship off the beginning, the person is fully healed and it's nice. Now, with the secure attachment, that doesn't mean that, you can leave the person alone for a month. You need to talk about what your communication style is and how often you need to be talking to each other. But like, for instance, let's say you're supposed to be talking to each other 2 or 3 times a week and you forget a week or you missed a week. A secure attachment style is not going to freak out, but an anxious one would. An anxious one would be like, oh no, this is terrible. And they would go down the rabbit hole. So just realize secure attachment's what we're working for, but it's a work in progress for a lot of people.
Some people need to be talked to each other every day. We don't.
Well, you do talk every day.
Yeah. Like keep constantly texting. And we don't
yeah, but like when you went on trips, when you went on the cruise, you weren't talking to him every day.
No.
See? So that was a secure relationship.
Yeah.
And that's great to be in a secure, trusting relationship. I think, honestly, if we could all get to that level, then I think most people wouldn't be so worrisome. And dating would be easier. Oh my gosh. When you date someone that's in a secure attachment style, you don't ever have to question where they stand. And it's a match. It's so comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so comfortable. So anyone that's anxious, they're just going to be super sensitive. And a lot of times it's rooted in childhood, but it can also come from bad recent relationships. Just be careful with that. It's a red flag for a lot of people, somebody that's anxious, right? So avoidant. Now, I've run into so many avoidants. And number 3 is the third type is avoidant. And then the fourth type is fearful avoidant. And fearful avoidant is kind of avoidant as well. But an avoidant person is dismissive, right? So they're going to value their independence. So as soon as you start getting close to them, they're going to go into I'm independent. And they're going to try to push you away. And it's kind of interesting because they want to avoid a deep emotional connection, especially if you trigger them. So let's say that you go on a couple of dates with somebody and you think you're really connecting. And then you're dating an avoidant and they think you're great, but they don't want to get too close. They're going to push you away. They're going to stop texting. They're going to stop calling. They're going to just push you away and see if you stick around. They're going to struggle with vulnerability. A lot of times they overshare in the beginning and then they try to pull it back. They're going to struggle with intimacy. They're going to be struggling with vulnerability. And a lot of times it's from emotionally unavailable or distant caregivers. Sometimes avoidants are because they got abandoned as a child or like a parent left, or it can also be from a parent died. It doesn't have to be that the parent left. It can be like a parent died while they were growing up. So avoidants they try to avoid getting too close because they're afraid of it. They're afraid of connecting. So if you're a secure person and you date an avoidant, what's going to happen is you're going to try to give them trust. You're going to try to be, intimate with them. You're going to try to communicate openly. And then what's going to happen is it'll go along well. And then all of a sudden they'll shut you down. Because they'll try to avoid. Now, my belief, guys and ladies, if you don't like someone, you need to just say, hey, I'm not that into you.
Yeah.
But sometimes people go through this avoidant thing, even though they're into the person, just because they're so afraid of getting close.
I see.
But if you're not into somebody, do us all a favor and just say, hey, I'm not that into you and move on.
Yeah.
Stop the ghosting, stop the avoidant behavior, stop the ignoring people. Just let them go and let them go find someone else.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem is people are afraid that they're going to run into someone with the anxious attachment style, right? If a secure person tells an anxious person, I'm not that into you, that anxious person may flip out.
That's true.
The people that flip out tend to be the anxious personality type. So if you see somebody going crazy when you let them down or you tell them you're not interested in them or it's just not working out, that's an anxious personality type. If you tell a secure person that you're not that into them, they might hurt a little bit. Don't get me wrong, people have feelings. But they'll be like, okay, I got this, and they'll move on. They're not going to chase you down and they're not going to stalk you after the fact. But an avoidant, they're going to have a wall up. It's going to be very difficult to break down somebody's wall. And it's just because they've been damaged too.
I see.
So avoidant people with the loss of a parent or a parent that disappeared or abandoned them, it's going to be difficult to break down the barriers. And they may think they've healed. A lot of them think they've healed. They've gone to therapy and they try to open up and they open up a lot, but then they almost immediately shut down, especially if they see something in you that they like, because they tend to be the ones that want to be the F-boys, the ones that want to go around and sleep around.
Yeah.
They don't want to attach. They want to avoid attachment, but they still want to get laid, right? So if you have the F-boys, a lot of them are avoidants because they're like, I'm coming out there, I'm dating, I'm putting myself out there. They'll go and screw somebody or have sex with them. But if there was actually a meaningful relationship or a meaningful connection, what would happen is they would pull back almost immediately. But that's why most of the F-boys tend to be avoidant personality types. They want to have sex with people. They just don't want to get close. So you have to be careful of the avoidance. They're going to probably push sex faster. Some of them do, some of them don't. But if they're not pushing sex and they're finding that you guys have an emotional connection, as soon as you get closer, they're going to pull away. So just understand that.
Okay.
And you can't push someone into being a secure attachment. You can't change someone.
You can't change them.
No, they have to grow into that themselves.
I see.
And some people that are anxious or avoidance will grow into it over time. So you just have to move slower.
I see.
And I think a lot of times people are like, wow, this person's crazy. I can't do anything. No, maybe you need to put their anxiousness at ease. Make them feel more safe. Make them feel more secure. Make them feel like that you're always going to be there. That's how you deal with an anxious person. Same thing with an avoidant. You have to be consistent with texting. You have to be like all their things. You have to follow up with them often. It matters if you're male or female on this one. Because what happens with an avoidant, if you text them too much or if you like all their stuff on social media, they're not going to trust it, especially if they were abandoned. They're going to think that there's something going on and that you're untrustworthy because they don't feel worthy. Avoidants a lot of times don't feel worthy. So they struggle with that because they got abandoned. Okay. Sometimes children of divorce are avoidants because a lot of times children of divorce feel like they got abandoned as well. Yeah. And it can be sometimes children of divorce are anxious. It just kind of depends on how they grew up. And a lot of it will depend on past relationships. Now, I have met a lot of guys that are on their second, or they've been divorced twice or 3 times. I haven't met anybody 4 times yet, but I met a lot of second and people third, and they're avoidant. They don't want to get married again. They say they want a relationship, but really all they want is a fuck friend. They want an F friend. They just want somebody to have sex with. So they say that they want a relationship, but it's just...
They really don't.
They're playing games. And if you actually got close to them, they would turn into a full-on avoidant and shut you down. Or they ghost you.
Yeah.
You know, the ghosting is big for avoidance. They just disappear and they don't talk to you for a while. So if you have somebody, ladies out there, that ghosts you, most likely they're avoidant. If you have somebody that sends you too much information, most likely they're anxious.
I see.
Like, if they're like stalking you or giving you too much attention, they're anxious because they need the love, they need the attention. But if they're ghosting you, they're an avoidant. So realize that happens. And it's hard for somebody that has a secure attachment style to deal with an anxious person or avoidant. You have to have patience with both of those styles. So the next type is the fearful avoidant.
Okay.
So this one's kind of chaotic, right? So this one it's a mix of craving intimacy,
okay,
but at the same time fearing it. Now, it's called disorganized or chaotic in different circles. I've had this one before myself, where sometimes I want intimacy and then sometimes I'm afraid of it, and I go back and forth a little bit. And I've realized it, and I'm like, okay, this is not good. I got to calm that down, right? And this one, sometimes we push people away even though we desire them to be close to us. And I have seen me do this in the past, that I like someone, but I push them away because I want them close, but I don't want them close. It's like, what do I want depending on the day? So you have to be careful of fearful avoidance. Now, this is often tied to trauma in past relationships, trauma as a child. A lot of times people that are fearful avoidant were neglected, or they had caregivers that were abusive. And so because of that, we didn't really regulate how to handle our relationships.
I see.
And I think when I start dating someone, sometimes I go back to fearful avoidant, and I have to really see what I'm doing and then step back into secure. Because I have had both. I've been secure and fearful avoidant. So for me, I have to really work on making sure that I can calm my nervous system down. And I will say it depends on the guy too. Because if the guy makes me feel calm, my fearful avoidant goes away. But if the guy is chaotic, if the guy is not secure and the guy is a fearful avoidant or an avoidant, I stay in fearful avoidant longer. So it does matter who you're matching with as well. Like if a guy is secure, I fall right into secure. But if a guy's a fearful avoidant, I will lean that way. So you have to be careful. Their attachment styles. I mean, this is such a big thing with relationships. We don't realize how this impacts a future relationship.
I see.
And if you're dating an avoidant, good luck. Because avoidants are probably the most difficult to break through their shell. And sometimes people will change from avoidant to fearful avoidant and then grow back into secure. These aren't in any specific order, but good luck, So let's kind of talk about, how to match with the right person. The best attachment style is secure and secure. It's the healthiest. It's the easiest communication. And I will say when someone's open and honest with me, I fall right into being open and honest with them. I have no issues with that. When they're secure in themselves and they're comfortable, I can go back into my secure, comfort, safety feeling. Men out there, a lot of times you will drive the relationship with women based off of your attachment style. Because if you come at a woman and you're avoidant, you're going to throw her into any past relationship trauma or any past, childhood trauma that they had growing up. But if you come at her secure, you're going to make her feel much more secure. And you might override some of her insecure feelings. So if I can find a secure attachment style, and that's hard to find, I will say, because us Gen Xers, we were tough as hell, but we also went through a lot of crap. And it's the easiest to communicate with. And I went on a date with someone that I thought was going to be a secure attachment, and I felt comfortable and I felt at peace, right? And I was like, oh, this feels really comfortable. And then they turned into an avoidant. And when they turned into an avoidant, I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. And it was because they fell back into their pattern, right?
Mm.
So you have to be careful. Now, women, if we are secure and we're strong in our secure, and this is something I do work on, if I have a secure attachment style, I can also bring a guy along with me and I can make them feel safe and comfortable as well. So it goes both ways. But I will say if you have a strong man, it's much easier to keep a secure attachment. The other one is secure and anxious. So if you're secure, or let's say the man is secure and the woman's anxious, because I see that happen quite often. So what happens is the secure partner can calm the woman's nervous system. They can grow, okay? They can foster growth in a nice way. So secure with anxious is great. Secure with anything is great because secure will calm the other partner down, make them relax. Even as secure with an avoidant partner, they're gonna help them open up. They're gonna have to be more patient, but you can help an avoidant person open up, even a fearful avoidant. So someone that's secure, a fearful avoidant is gonna feel comfortable around them, and they'll get more back into their secure. And then, but the challenging is anxious and avoidant. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have one person over here that's, we're not going to say crazy, that's just over the top needy, right? And they constantly need to be texted every hour. And if they're not getting texted every hour, they're upset. And then you're going to be dating an avoidant over here that only wants to text them once a week or even talk to them once a week. So you've got the anxious person that's like, where are you, where are you, where are you? Who's checking Facebook 20 times a day, who's checking Instagram 20 times a day, who can't function because they're so anxious about this relationship. And then you have the avoidant over here that's like, I don't want to get too close. I'm nervous. I'm scared. And so I'm going to pull away a little bit. I'm going to pull away. They just pull away. And you put the two of those together, it's a recipe for disaster because nobody's calm, nobody's secure. And nobody's balancing the other side.
Maybe them two need to start talking to each other. Tell the truth.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing is with the avoidant and the anxious, they don't. They may start off that way, but then when they fall back into their standard attachment style, they don't. The other one is fearful avoidant. And fearful avoidant doesn't work with anxious or avoidant. And that's the problem. So the fearful avoidance, guys, is actually kind of the worst because it's unpredictable. Sometimes they are happy, sometimes they are sad, sometimes they have emotional swings, right? And it depends on the day. And they can seem like very callous and not caring like an avoidant. And then on other days, they can sound like, well, I need more attention, right? So I need more care. I need more consideration. And they go back and forth between the two different styles. So it can be a little stressful. A fearful avoidant really needs a secure attachment style or the relationship doesn't work. And there's less of those out there because a lot of people have baggage that haven't healed that they bring to the relationship. So the fearful avoidant is actually the worst one to have because you don't match with either the anxious or the avoidant. You only match with secure. And it's not about the attachment style as much as your willingness to grow and change. And some people won't. Some people, no matter who they're with, they're going to avoid intimacy. And when I say intimacy, I'm not saying avoid sex. When I say the avoidant is avoiding closeness, like emotional intimacy, emotional closeness, not physical, because the avoidance will go all day long with having intimacy, sexual intimacy, but they avoid the emotional intimacy. And the anxious people, they're chaotic, they're crazy, they're not crazy, they're just emotionally needy, right? So it's if either of those, though, wants to change and they recognize that let's say I'm an anxious person and the anxious person says to the guy, I need you to text me 3 times a day. If I don't hear from you 3 times a day, I'm going to feel like something's wrong. It's just who I am. And you're honest, right? And let's say you were dating a secure person and you're anxious. What would happen is the secure person would say, you know what, I can't do that. I would love to, but I can't. But here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to text you in the morning and I'm going to text you at night and we'll talk 2 or 3 times a week. Is that okay? And you just talk it out. And that's a growth minded. And that might put the anxious person at ease. And if the secure person's with an avoidant, the secure person may say, I like open communication and I like to talk to you daily. But the avoidant may say, you know what? I sometimes get a little fearful when I get close to someone. Just be patient with me. It may take me some time to open up, but there's open communication. And that's what the avoidant can do with the secure. With the fearful avoidant, the only person they work out with is the secure because they can't work with the other two. Because they can't go to an avoidant and say, sometimes I'm going to like you and sometimes I'm not. And at the same time, with the anxious person, if they get them on the wrong day, they're going to butt heads.
Yeah.
So you just have to be willing to grow, all sides. Now, what can happen is you can change your attachment style completely. This takes work. It takes being secure in yourself. It takes emotional maturity or emotional IQ, if you will, and you can grow into it. But attachment styles are formed in childhood, right? So that's how it originally started. When you were supposed to get comfort and protection and attention, you didn't get it. So if you didn't have that secure attachment from your parents, then when you grow up later, you don't have it as an adult.
No, you don't.
You don't. And it's hard to learn, but you can. Okay, it's not there, but you can also get it from later traumatic experiences, from narcissistic relationships, from just toxic relationships, from abusive relationships, from physically abusive relationships, from affair. So if you were with a narcissist that cheated on you, you got a double-edged sword right there. And so that can mess with your attachment style, and it can. You may have been secure through a whole marriage, and then all of a sudden, it throws you back into childhood trauma because of what happened in your adult relationship. So you have to be careful with that too, because you could shift from a completely secure person into a completely insecure attachment style. And there are 3 insecure attachment styles, So you have to remember the anxious, the avoidant, and the fearful-avoidant. You shift into those because of what happened in your marriage. Or in a long-term relationship.
Huh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
So you need to learn your attachment style so you know how to interact with people. And if you want a long-term relationship, the closer you can get to a secure attachment style, the longer that relationship's going to last. But the partner has to too.
I think they both have to work together.
They do. Yeah. I think part of it is if your needs weren't met as a kid, you develop coping mechanisms, right? So let's say that if you were a child and the people were present sometimes, present not. So you didn't know what to do. So you get anxious. So when they'd show up, you'd be like a dog that came to the door. Happy, 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 right? You walk in, you haven't seen them for a day, and they're just so happy to see you, happy to see you. That's an anxious personality style. And then they calm down later, right? But then they get anxious again. They're going to leave. They're going to leave. And then the dog gets happy. Now, I'm not calling people dogs, but you understand that anxiousness when a dog sees you, right? And then with the avoidance, if you were abandoned, right? Of course, you're going to have difficulty getting close to someone. Or if, you lost a parent, of course you are. Then the fearful avoidance, if you had a physical abuse or verbal abuse as a child, consistently, you're not going to know how to act because you're walking on eggshells. If you marry a narcissist or somebody that's toxic and you try to get to a secure place and then you fall back into it when something bad happens. So you're gonna have to work on that. So it's kind of unpredictable. It's high emotional swings, but all those things were coping mechanisms that you created when you were a child. So the first thing, and yes, the attachment styles can change, is awareness. And then you have to practice, and then you have to heal. I think you have to really work at it. It's something that you have to be self-aware and you have to self-reflect. Okay, so let's start there. You can do different attachment style quizzes, but I think after our discussion here, there's lots of different attachment style quizzes online because it's a big thing in therapy right now. But if you can just self-reflect, honestly, I think you could probably figure out what your attachment style is. And then talk to your therapist or coach about it. Say, look, my attachment style is avoidant, or my attachment style is anxious, or whatever it is. And say, what can I do to try to make sure that I don't tank a relationship? Because the insecure attachment styles, they sabotage the relationships.
Yes, they do.
And you've seen it happen, right? And then from the outside, people watch it. They're like, oh, she's going to sabotage that one again. Sometimes you can catch yourself and sometimes you don't. Just be aware of that. Just be self-aware. And then go to your therapist and, try to rewire that trust level, because a lot of it comes down to trust.
Yes.
Kind of heal that inner child that you have still and communicate with your therapist clearly and openly, and then communicate with your partner.
I agree.
So a secure relationship, in order to get there, you have to retrain your attachment responses. For instance, let's say you went on a trip and the person doesn't text you at all.
Okay.
During the whole trip. And if you were anxious, you'd be complaining because they should have texted you every day. If you're avoidant, you'd be like, I don't care. I wanted to break up with them anyway. If you're fearful avoidant, you're going to go oscillate between the two of those. So I've been there. You've seen it. And it's kind of crazy, but it happens. And then you come out of that and then you were like, oh, that was all me. Then you realize you can step into this secure relationship. It takes patience with yourself because you have to retrain that attachment response. And journaling helps, working on that inner child. And honestly, guys, alone time helps. Cocooning and being away from relationships for a while helps.
Alone time, definitely.
It does. You shouldn't be racing into a relationship if you haven't worked on your attachment style.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's going to happen is when you get past that honeymoon style, it's gonna get a little crazy.
Yeah.
You need to really look for the people that have. I think everyone should be in a secure relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can find someone, in fact, for me, I have to find someone that's a secure relationship because I won't last in the other ones.
Yeah.
So you have to regulate your emotions, okay? And, dealing with any insecurities you have and trust issues, because trust is a huge thing.
Yeah.
It takes time. And the more consistent they are, it'll make your regulation easier too. So if you're with a person that, for instance, I dated a person that texted me every day, and then ghosted me for like a week. And that does not work well with my attachment style.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to text me every day and then you ghost me and then you call me and you act like nothing happened, that's not how I do things.
Yeah.
So just be consistent with me. If you're going to text me every other day, I'm okay with it. We'll create a routine, but I like consistency. I like consistency, honestly, in everything I do. I'm consistent. I'm disciplined. I want consistency. But it can take time. And it's like learning a different emotional language, a different love language. It's just the way we attach. Did you realize there was so many complexities?
Yeah.
Well, see, here's the thing I think you had. You both came out of rough relationships. And then what you found in each other, now I don't know what your attachment styles were when you came out of it, but you found comfort in each other. And now you've developed a secure attachment marriage. So you're both secure in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have no fear of your relationship. And you guys text each other at appropriate times. And when you go, you can go a week without talking if you're on a trip.
Yeah. I could go without talking for, I'm on trip, if I'm on the girls' trip, or if he's on business trip.
Yeah.
You're just checking in. He usually checking in at night.
Yeah. So there's a secure attachment style. You're going to communicate openly. You're going to share your needs. You're going to build together. You're going to love together. You're going to have a relationship together. That is the best. If you can find two people with secure, great.
Yeah.
But what often happens is one person's secure and brings the other one along with them. And they create a secure by growing together.
Maybe that person is not ready.
It could be. But sometimes just finding the right partner works too. As long as it's not too crazy. Anxious is hard. If you're an anxious person, it's hard. And if you're avoidant and don't let anyone in, it's actually hard too.
I think that's harder.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest.
Yeah.
Because you've got to give them space without punishing them, and you got to show safety to them and vulnerability so they can open up. And so avoidance really hard. With the fearful avoidant, you got to be patient too and avoid the push-pull cycle. So what you'll find with an avoidant is they'll talk to you a whole bunch, and then if you don't talk to them back, they'll just pull away completely. I'm kind of like that sometimes. If I talk to a guy and we're talking and then they pull away, then I just pull away too. Which means to me, I'm not with a secure individual. I'm probably with an avoidant again. I don't want that, which is okay. I guess I'm still protecting myself. So.
Yeah.
But it's a starting point. It's not like magic. It's not like, oh, if you can get the secure and secure, you're going to have a great relationship. It's just another level to the onion of creating a beautiful relationship. And I think what will happen though too, as you grow, you'll find more secure people.
Yeah.
As you heal you'll get closer and closer to partners that are secure. You're going to avoid the avoidance. You're going to avoid the anxious people. You're just going to avoid them because you're going to see, oh my gosh, that person is so needy. I can't do it. Or that person is so avoidant.
I can't do it.
I can't do it. You may want to take any of those types of attachment styles.
I see.
Because you may want to grow with that person.
Yeah.
But they have to be open and willing to grow with you. And that's the challenge, right? That's the challenge. It's magic if you can grow with someone and you're like you guys had magic. Because you may have both come in a little bit avoidant is what I'm expecting because you came out of some bad relationships or maybe even a little anxious. And you calmed each other's nervous systems. You were comfortable together and it took you time.
Yeah.
You didn't get married right away.
No.
So a lot of times it may take time to grow into that relationship until you're both secure and secure. And now you're completely secure in your relationship. Love isn't about finding the right person. It's about learning to love in a way that makes you both feel safe. And that's what I think we don't understand when we're younger. We're like, oh, we got to find that one. But the reality is you got to find the one that you feel safe with, that you can love and grow with. And that's the tricky one because a lot of people don't have that growth mindset.
That's not easy.
It's not easy.
Mm-mm.
No, you can add spice to this too. You can be flirty, you can add intimate, but you have to realize don't push someone into a corner.
But I do believe everything happened for a reason, though. If you let things happen naturally, without controlling, just let it flow. It will happen.
Yeah, I think that is very important. I think going forward, if you can work on yourself, and if you're finding that you are still falling into one of these insecure attachment styles, it may be a sign you need a cocoon and go work on yourself some more. And I think that is the biggest thing. And here's some questions for you. Do you tend to pull away when people get too close? What attachment style do you think that is?
Maybe that person's not ready. Maybe you're not ready.
That's an avoidant type of personality, right? When we say people aren't ready, it's because they're avoidant. That's, the whole saying somebody's not ready, they're just an avoidant.
Right.
They don't want, and you know what? Here's the thing. You may never be ready, and you may never get out of the avoidant attachment style. You may want to just get close to somebody a few times, have sex with a few people, and then you move on. That's the F boys, right? That may be how you are. You have you'll see it because they always have 1 to 3 6-month relationships, and then they move on to the next one because they're avoidance, which if that's what you want, that's okay. But realize that you may be messing with someone else that wants more, okay? Do you constantly wonder if your partner still loves you? That's an anxious. So when you're anxious like that, it's going to be rough because you're going to be constantly insecure, constantly texting, constantly needy to a point that it's not healthy. And then do you feel comfortable leaning on your partner and letting them lean on you?
Yeah.
See, that's the secure. She answered right away, too. There was no delay. Because you have a secure attachment style. So you're like, yeah, of course we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So if you're in an anxious and avoidant, make sure you schedule check-in calls. You have to schedule them because the avoidant is not going to want to make them. So you put it in the calendar or you put it on the schedule. And the anxious is going to need them.
Would you want to be in that kind of relationship, though, that you have to be...
Well, over time, an anxious and avoidant could grow more secure in their relationship together.
I see.
Right? So that can work. And let's say you're a fearful avoidant with a secure person. You're going to have to create safety through consistency. Like my big thing is consistency. If somebody doesn't give me consistency, I don't want it, right? I don't tolerate crazy, panicky, stressful situations. I want consistency. I want things to move at a nice pace, and I want them to work at that nice pace. It's just who I am. At the same thing, I'm trying to become more secure. I've dated a lot of avoidance. And I think because I'm dating a lot of people, again, that have been married twice or 3 times, and they don't want anything. They're just looking for sex or they're looking for a quick relationship. And those don't work for me because I'm looking for more secure.
Right.
I used to think that, oh my gosh, am I sabotaging? But I think the reality is I am just looking for a person that's secure. And I have found a lot of avoidant people. And the avoidance, I know in my heart, won't work for me. So if I'm with an avoidant person, I just let them go.
Yeah.
And I know people like, are you sabotaging? I'm like, I don't think so. I can tell they're avoidant. I mean, they were all hot, and then all of a sudden they ghost you for a week, and then they come back like nothing happened. That to me is an avoidant. Here's the thing. If some people say, well, maybe they're dating other people, that's fine. People that are avoidant often they have a roster of people, right?
Yeah.
But if someone's dating me and they're dating other people, then I can see where they're like hot and cold. But I don't want somebody that's dating 10 women, right? And on top of it, if they're just pulling away because they're avoidant, I'd rather not be with that person because avoidants don't work well with my personality type because I like consistency. I love consistency. And honestly, when you get into a secure relationship, you should have consistency. One of the things you should think about is if your parents only gave you love when you achieved something, you're going to crave that constant reassurance. And that's, creating the anxious people, right?
That's from traumatized.
And I think our generation, Gen Xs have been doing that a lot. We've been like, oh, you got straight A's, you're going to get an award. Oh, I mean, we got to be careful with that with our own children, too, who we're raising. And if you learned early that expressing emotion, you got punished or hurt or ignored, you might be a fearful avoidant. You may be a complete avoidant. You may have shut down completely. You just don't know. So work on rewiring your pathways. I encourage therapy. I encourage journaling, meditation, yoga, all those things help. And then having secure friendships, you're going to notice that your friendships sometimes take on the avoidance, that take on the anxious. You may be anxious, so you only have anxious friends. You may be an avoidant, so you only have avoidant friends. I mean, you can have a wide variety of friends, but if you have majority of your friends are avoidants, that might be because you are too, right? And if the majority of your friends are secure, that might be because you are. So you will take on friends this way as well. I have had a lot of avoidant friends, so it may be part of the reason why I've dated a lot of avoidant guys, even though I'm fearful avoidant, because there's comfort there. So I need to go more in the secure realm, someone that's comfortable, that actually does truly want a relationship and not just a fun friend type of situation. Sometimes your teachers, too, can have an impact on your attachment style as well, because a lot of times you're with teachers for several years. But remember, this is not your destiny. You can change. I mean, look at you guys. I'm sure you guys came in and you had your attachment styles were a little rough because you were in bad relationships. And you grew into such a strong, secure relationship. So I would say if you're anxious, you can send a text once a day and say, hey, I can't wait to hear from you, or looking forward to hearing from you, but don't overdo it. Regulate your emotions. If you're avoidant, you can also send a text message, but you're probably going to need to schedule it. You're going to have to make sure you do it because you're going to have to push yourself into doing it because it's not going to feel comfortable. All right. If you're secure, everything's comfortable on both sides. Both sides are never going to feel like the other side is pulling away. If you're a fearful avoidant, try to have closeness, but have consistency. And a lot of times fearful avoidants are more introverts, which I'm a little bit more of an introvert. We don't need the constant crazy. We just want consistent showing up, being there consistently. And then once I have that, I can then step back into my secure attachment style. Yeah. Just like an anxious, if they have consistent texting over and over again, they will step into their secure attachment. They'll become more secure. And an avoidant, if they can get away from ignoring people and staying in their cocoon and actually open up and let their boundaries down a little bit, they'll get closer to their secure attachment style. That was a lot we've covered today.
That was a lot. There's so many types.
I know. And
why can't we just make it happen naturally? Let it.
Well, I think a lot of it is, we've been through traumatic relationships. A lot of people, because think about it. Let's say somebody was married twice and they got cheated on both times, or married 3 times and they got cheated on every time. They're going to be a complete avoidant, right? Or they're going to be a complete anxious, like, why aren't you texting me back? Are you with somebody? Who are you with right now? Yeah. So, or they could be a fearful avoidant and back and forth between the two, right? So they're not going to be secure. Yeah. If someone's gone through 3 heartbreaks, they haven't gone through therapy, they haven't healed, and they keep attracting people that cheat, right? Because it's a type of personality. Women that cheat or men that cheat, it's a type of personality. If you're attracting the same type over and over again, you haven't healed right? So if you've gone through that 2 or 3 times and now you're coming back into dating, of course you're going to want to avoid women. You may just want to say, you know what? I'm here with you. I'm just not truly here with you. You'll see it. Yeah. And if someone got cheated on, I think men a lot of times will go avoidant after they get cheated on. And whereas women will go fearful avoidant. Yeah. And you can change your attachment style. Like I could have been fearful avoidant as a child, but then I go through a relationship where it's hot and cold, and I come out of that relationship anxious. Every relationship you has an impact, even friend relationships. You can have some crazy friends out there, guys, that really change your attachment style as well.
You need consistent.
I need consistent.
Yes.
Consistency makes me feel secure, and then I can flow into a secure relationship. And I would flow into a secure relationship. If I'm with an avoidant, I just walk away.
Yeah. Consistency is the key, even between relationship, between friends, or between families.
Yes.
Like I talk to my sister 3 times a day.
Consistency is what's needed in every aspect of life.
Yeah.
If you want to be successful, how do you get there? You're consistent. You're disciplined and consistent, which discipline is consistency. You want to lose weight. You don't lose it by starving yourself for a week, although it would work, but then you gain it back. You lose it through consistency. You want to have a stable partner. You're emotionally consistent, emotionally mature. And I think a lot of people aren't. And a lot of people, it comes across as disrespectful when you're not consistent, but it also shows how immature you are emotionally. I'm very consistent with people. I just expect that back. I just haven't found it yet. But I have realized that I have attracted a lot of avoidant, which to me means maybe I just don't really want to date yet. Maybe I just want to work on me a little bit more, and I'm okay with that because I need consistency and I'm just not finding it. So consistency is king for everything you want in life. Consistency is king for studying. Consistency is king for achieving any goal out there. If you're not consistent, it's hard to get there. And secure people are very consistent.
You think everything you do, consistency. My yoga instructor always said it. Consistent, being consistent. That's what she said.
Yeah, be consistent at being consistent. And the more consistent you are, and you just create and I'm not saying, let's not get boring. I like variety because I'm an Aquarius. We like our variety, right? And the people that like to do the exact same thing over and over again, no. But consistency, meaning care and consideration. When you're dating someone, you need to be consistent with your care and consideration. I'm not saying you have to love them right off the bat, but you do have to show your future potential partner a level of care and consideration that you show over and over again. Because if you don't, here's what women think, and here's what maybe some men think too. If you're inconsistent in the beginning, I don't want to date you because you're going to be inconsistent throughout the relationship. Yeah. And I don't want the chaos of it. You know, I've seen chaos. I don't want it. And so I want consistency throughout, because if you're showing me you're not consistent in the beginning, well, good luck 3 months, 6 months, 9 months from now, having them show up even on time. If they can't call you or text you in some type of consistent now, I'm not saying, they have to call me at 8 o'clock every single day. No, but you should have some level of consistency where the other person's not questioning what you're even doing. You know, it's a little, what are we doing here? Are we just nothing? I mean, to me, that's inconsistent. But I'm not anxious to the point where I need constant communication. That would be creepy. Yeah. A little bit too creepy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there it is. So I think everybody in every aspect of their life should show up more consistently, and then relationships will be easier as well.
I think so too.
Yeah. All right, Diva Cat, I think we're good for the day. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we covered a lot today.
Oh, we covered so much today.
So much.
And I think this is an important podcast for people that are in relationships, whether they're married, whether they're getting divorced. Or if they're in a long-term relationship, or they're wanting to get into a relationship. Yeah. I think this covers the spectrum. And then also remember, try to be consistent with your children.
Yes.
To help regulate their emotions so that it's not so crazy, so that they can have secure relationships.
Yes.
That's very important.
Yes.
Well, this is Diva Mia. We hope you have a wonderful day.
This is Diva Cat. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment. We love hearing from you. Visit thedivadetails.com to connect. See you next week for more.
Diva Details podcast and website are intended solely for informational and entertainment purposes. The content provided does not constitute professional, medical, financial, or legal advice. We are not licensed medical practitioners, financial advisors, or legal professional. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Any financial topics discussed are based on personal opinions and experience and should not be considered professional advice. The content provided does not constitute legal advice. The Diva Details and its affiliate contributors and guests are not liable for any losses or damages arising from the use of our content. The opinions expressed in the podcast are solely those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of any affiliated organization, sponsors, or partner. All facts discussed in the podcast are researched and accurate to the best of our knowledge at the time of recording. Information may change over time. No guarantees are made regarding the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any statements or opinions presented. It is the responsibility of the listener to verify any and all facts that may influence their decision. This podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice.